It's time for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, the award-winning show that covers fishing, hunting, and all sorts of outdoor recreation here in the Great Northwest. Northwestern Outdoors is brought to you every week by Max Lure Company, a legacy of innovation since 1969, by Loophole Optics, America's optical authority, by Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors, by Wallowa County, nature is on display in Northeast Oregon, and by The Real News, your fishing resource. Also by Shiloh Inns and Suites, providing you with affordable excellence, and by Mardon Resort, the place for fishing, hunting, and more in Eastern Washington. And now, it's time to head outside with your host, John Cruz.
As we celebrate the 4th of July and our nation's independence, I know a lot of you are going to be grilling up some food in your backyard, at the beach, or out at the campground this weekend. With that in mind, we are bringing you a show focused on helping you out in that regard. We're going to start off by talking to Ryan Neely with Camp Chef about the new pellet grill they have available. It's a real Cadillac in terms of being a great smoker and grill for your back patio that's going to take your summertime cooking to a whole new level. Tiffany Haugen, the author of a fantastic new cookbook called Cooking Seafood, will be with us this week with some wonderful cooking tips for both fresh and saltwater fish, as well as shellfish like clams and oysters. You will be salivating by the end of that conversation. From fish and shellfish, we head to the southern Oregon coast to talk to Dan Sawyer. He's a guru about seaweed. He's got a website called Wild Coast Kelp. He'll be filling us in on the different kinds of kelp and seaweed you can eat, how to prepare them, and he's going to tell you about one variety you'll want to keep off your dinner plate. Speaking of fish, one of the tastiest ones you'll find out there is the sockeye salmon, and the season's kicking off for them in Washington State. That's why you'll want to hear about a new sockeye rig Lance Mers with Max Lure Company has got for you on an extended Max Minute this week. You might want to be paying attention to what Lance has to say, because we're going to be telling you about one heck of a sockeye run that is coming up the Columbia River this month. We'll also give you some tips to stay safe in bear country, courtesy of Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, and tell you about one bear that decided to crash a Northwest birthday party in style. Finally, we've got a giveaway for you this weekend, too. We're giving away a pizza oven from Camp Chef. Now, it's actually an accessory that turns your 3-burner Camp Chef grill into a pizza oven. It's valued at $171, and it cooks delicious pizza right on your back patio or at camp. And you are going to want this. I've tried out these pizza oven accessories. They're fantastic. If you want to enter, simply tell us what station you're listening to on our Facebook page at Northwestern Outdoors Radio, or you can contact us through our website at northwesternoutdoors.com, and then just say you want the pizza oven. We'll pick one winner at the end of the show. Again, that's northwesternoutdoors.com or our Facebook page at Northwestern Outdoors Radio. But before we get into all of this outdoor cooking and fish and shellfish and seaweed fare, David Sparks is back with another edition of Sportsman Spotlight, brought to you every week by Shiloh Inns, the pet-friendly hotel chain which lives up to its tagline of affordable excellence. This week, David's going to tell you about a fishing guide named Dave Maroon near Portland, Oregon, who can take you fishing all year long.
Want to fish in Oregon all year round for all kinds of fish on all kinds of rivers? David Sparks, Sportsman Spotlight. Dave Maroon's a real nice guy, and he runs an outfitting service out of Gresham, Oregon, that he describes as a full-time, year-round fishing adventure. You want to fish for sturgeon, salmon, steelhead, walleye? Dave Maroon's your man, and here he is.
Full-time fishing guides, all I do all year long. Almost 200 days a year, and fish all the salmon runs we have up and down the Columbia and the Willamette and some other local rivers around Portland, Sandy River, and steelhead. Oversized sturgeon fishing on the Columbia and Willamette. Keeper sturgeon fishing on the Columbia, and I do a little bit of walleye fishing on the Columbia. I have a 24-foot North River, and I also have a 17-foot Willie drift boat that I use on the Sandy River for steelhead and salmon fishing. Generally, in the big boat, I take 4 guys, and that's for a full-day trip, 8-9-hour trip. And the drift boat, I take 2 or 3 guys, and that's also an all-day-long trip. And everything's provided for you. You just need to bring a fishing license and anything you want to eat and drink, and we just go out and catch some fish.
Okay, so you supply all the gear?
All the gear, yep. Clean the fish for you at the end of the day, fillet them if you like, no problem. Put them in a bag, and all that's done, no charge.
His website, DaveMaroon.com, like the color. This is David Sparks for Sportsman Spotlight.
They were our brothers, our sisters, sons, and daughters. They were our parents, family, neighbors, and our friends. How can we express the gratitude that we all owe the thousands and thousands of American veterans who have sacrificed so much for our country's freedom? It was they who stepped forward from the time this country was created to fight for everything we know about liberty and freedom. And although we celebrate their victories and console them for their losses by creating monuments and honoring them in parades, the truth is we can never do enough for the freedom they've given us. Perhaps the most important thing that we can do is reach out to those veterans closest to us and simply tell them thank you. All of us at Shiloh Inns would like to take this opportunity to recognize the many men and women, including police and firemen, who have served and continue to serve our country to ensure our freedom. From everyone at Shiloh Inns, thank you, and God bless America.
You demand quality performance from your binoculars, whether you use them in the field, on the water, or at a stadium. But you don't want to spend a fortune. That's where the BX Mackenzie binoculars from Leupold come in. These armored, waterproof binoculars are both comfortable and dependable. Look for your Mackenzie binoculars at quality sporting goods retailers near you. BX Mackenzie, bringing your world into sharper focus, only from Leupold.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. It is July, and that means it's time to head out to the back patio and grill up some steaks, grill up some burgers, some brats, some dogs. Just spend time outside. With us here to tell us more, Ryan Neely with Camp Chef. Ryan, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, John. I'm happy to be here.
Ryan, I want to talk about your brand new pellet grill and smoker from Camp Chef. Got to see it at SHOT Show in Vegas this year, and I was really, really impressed. Folks, this is a Cadillac of a pellet grill. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit more about it?
Well, John, I'm happy you got to see it, but I think we're going to have you over sometime to have you taste what that pellet grill can produce, because it is awesome, and the great thing about it is it's easy to use. It's got that set it and forget it mentality there that our engineers worked hard to make it very, very user-friendly. So as you saw and as we talked about a few months ago, it is really fun for the whole family and the whole neighborhood. You're going to make your neighbors jealous with that thing.
What are some foods that people are going to smoke in this pellet grill and smoker? What are some really popular ones that you see people serving on a weekly basis?
You know, the popular stuff that you're going to be doing, your ribs, your pork loin, briskets, those are kind of some of the more popular. Now, up in your area, up in the Northwest, you're going to see a lot of salmon, too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of that, especially the fresh stuff, and that's going to be even better in your area.
Well, I'll tell you what, if it's not a record-breaking run this year for salmon, it's going to be awfully close. And I'm going to go ahead and tie you down to this now. I mean, I know you love to cook, Ryan. If somebody's got a salmon and they've got one of these brand new pellet grills and smokers, how would you suggest they prepare it so that they have some of the best salmon they've ever tasted in their life?
Some of the guys that I've talked to in the industry and some of the old-timer fishermen up in the Northwest area have given me a few suggestions, and I'll pass those along to you, I guess. As you lay your salmon down, or before you put it on the smoker, to slice it into strips. That way, the thinner parts and the thicker, you're going to get a more even smoke.
Okay.
Between your thin parts and your thicker parts of that salmon. And then the other thing that he suggested for us was to, maybe about an hour or so before you're done smoking, heat up some honey and then just braise that on with a brush on top of that salmon, and that'll give you just a sweet, delicious taste. It's awesome. I've had some of his fish before, and it's great.
Now, let me ask you a question, Ryan. We're calling this a pellet grill and smoker. So people are going to probably be a little bit confused. Is this a grill or is it a smoker?
I get that question a lot, and that's kind of how the industry refers it to, as a pellet grill and smoker. First and foremost, it's a smoker. You're able to smoke things from a low temperature at about 175, and then take that up to about 450 plus, depending on weather and wind and how you're cooking outside. So first and foremost, it is a smoker, but it is often referred to as a grill. You can do burgers and things on it. However, you're not going to be able to get a sear like you would on one of the Camp Chef barbecue boxes and things like that, because it doesn't produce the really, really high heat that you need to sear. However, with that being said, it is easy to use, and trust me, if I can make a delicious rack of ribs or a pork loin, anybody can. It's pretty great.
Let's talk about some of the features that differentiate this pellet grill and smoker from Camp Chef from the competition. There's a few out there on the market, and there's a few pretty good ones. So what makes the Camp Chef pellet grill and smoker a little bit better than what's out there?
Yeah, and there are many other things out there, but the great thing about the Camp Chef pellet grill and smoker, along with, we talk about, it's easy to use, but not only that are you easy to cook with, but it's easy to clean. It has a patent-pending clean-out system. So normally on your pellet grills, you have to pull out all the insides, pull out the diffuser plate and the grill grates and everything, and vacuum that ash cup out. With the Camp Chef pellet grill, no, with the pull of a lever, everything drops out. It's seriously that simple. The second great feature on the Camp Chef pellet grill is the meat probe. It comes standard with a meat thermometer that you simply insert into whatever you're cooking, and that way, by the push of a button, you know what temperature you're at, and you're going to know exactly when. You're not going to need to worry about anything overcooked.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And another thing about this is, again, you've got that meat probe, but you also have a digital thermometer that lets you know exactly what the temperature is inside the grill, and it's electric start too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all electric. So you just plug it in, and the auger feeds the pellets in, and the display will let you know what your temperatures are at. And you just set it at what you want to cook at, kind of like your oven at home, and it'll hold that temperature.
So, folks, if you didn't catch that, let me repeat it. This isn't propane operated like those grills you've got on the back deck. This is electric operated, so you just plug it in there on the back deck or the patio, and you are good to go for some of the best smoked food you've ever had. Let's go ahead and shift gears. And folks, you're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're talking to Ryan Neely with Camp Chef. We've been talking about the brand new pellet grill and smoker, truly a Cadillac in its league. You've got to check it out. Something else I want to talk about, though, is your pizza oven, because we've got a pizza oven accessory valued at $171. It fits on your 16-inch 3-burner camp stoves, and we're going to give it away to a lucky listener. I got to use one of these the other day, and I'll tell you what, this makes some great pizza. Tell us more about the pizza oven accessories for your camp stoves.
The pizza oven accessory is awesome. A lot of times, you'll go to a restaurant and they'll have those big built-in wood fire ovens.
Oh, yeah.
We actually teamed up with the restaurant owner here in our area, and our engineers worked with him for over a year just to get this oven to mimic those same heating patterns. So we have had a lot of fun exploring the options on this pizza oven and what you can do and how to cook with the high temperatures, and it's a blast.
Oh, it is an absolute blast. Our family had a wonderful time. So you basically just roll out your dough, folks. You put on the toppings you want, and then you just slide it right in, and literally in just a few minutes, very short time, that pizza's out, and it tastes delicious. One other thing we have to mention, we were talking about these pizza oven accessories that go on your existing stoves, your 2-burners and 3-burners. And again, we're giving away a 3-burner this week on the show in terms of a pizza oven accessory. But you also have a standalone pizza oven that operates off a simple 1-pound propane canister. Sounds perfect for car camping.
Yeah, it is. And a lot of people, it's designed to be both portable and for your back patio. So it'll be back there on your back patio. It looks great, and it also runs off the big bulk propane. So you can be cooking all night long and not have to worry about running out.
One more thing, on these pizza ovens, I understand they cook pizza, and from personal experience, folks, they cook really good pizza. But can you cook anything else in these pizza ovens?
If we just talked about smoking salmon on the pellet grill, well, you can definitely bake an awesome salmon.
Oh, now you're talking to me.
So we call it a pizza oven, we refer to it as a pizza oven, but really anything that you need to roast or that needs high heat, do it in there. And it's so fun to be able to explore the options there. So I've done salmon, I've done other fish, I've done meat, and I've done vegetables. So options are great. And along with other breads, too. You can throw other breads in there, and it cooks delicious food.
Ryan, every time we talk, I get hungry, and unfortunately, we are out of time. But folks, if you want to find out more about the brand new Camp Chef pellet grill and smoker, or the Camp Chef pizza oven or pizza oven accessory, just go to the Camp Chef website at campchef.com. Look for them, too, at your local sporting goods or hardware stores. And I know that you guys are in some pretty big chain stores, too. Tell us a few of the big sporting goods chains where people can find these pellet grills and also the pizza ovens.
Yeah, you can find them at Sportsman's Warehouse is our biggest carrier up in that area, so definitely go there, check out our stuff. But also go into Cabela's or Bass Pro or any of your local farm and ranch stores should have our product there for you.
There you go, folks. Camp Chef. Their tagline is the way to cook outdoors, and I, for one, am a big believer. Ryan, thanks for telling us all about this on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John. It's always a good time. Appreciate it.
Again, folks, if you want to win that 3-burner pizza oven accessory, all you have to do is contact us through our website at northwesternoutdoors.com or on our Facebook page at Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Say you want the Camp Chef pizza oven. We're going to pick a lucky winner at the end of the show. That's northwesternoutdoors.com or Northwestern Outdoors Radio on our Facebook page. Stay tuned. We've got more coming up on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
At Shiloh Inn Suites Hotels, 4-star accommodations come with something else you'll really appreciate: affordability. Hello, I'm Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. Relax in Shiloh's beautiful deluxe smoke-free suites. Enjoy Shiloh's spacious pools, spas, steam, and sauna rooms. At Shiloh Inn Suites Hotels, we're making 4-star excellence affordable with more free amenities than most any other hotel chain. For reservations, call 1-800-222-2244 or visit our website at shilohins.com. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence.
We're back with John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
It's time for another Max Minute.
Fish on!
Brought to you every week by Max Lure Company. This week, we're talking sockeye salmon fishing. Sockeye runs up the Columbia River have been absolutely fantastic the last few years, and this has meant there's basically a brand new fishery that has evolved. Lance, tell me more about fishing for sockeye and what people ought to use to get some of these fish in the boat.
John, this sockeye run is going to be fantastic. It's supposed to be the 3rd largest sockeye run in the history of Washington. One of the great products that we have is called a Max Lure Double Whammy Sockeye Pro. It comes with 2 size 2 red hooks, and it also comes with 1.1 inch smile blade, and it comes in 5 different colors. So, the sockeye run is a fantastic run. It's a lot of great fishing, but this sockeye pro will knock them dead.
So let's talk about the drill here. I know that right below the dams on the mid and upper Columbia are hot spots. Are you basically using a downrigger, getting down to a certain depth, putting a flasher behind that, and then putting the sockeye rig about 3 feet behind that?
Well, exactly. And what we'll do is we'll use a 7.6 inch Max Lure Double D Dodger. It acts as a side planer. It keeps your line away from the boat. It drops it down there, and it gives it extra flash in that water. It's fantastic.
All right. Well, there you go. Now you know the drill, so you can catch some of these sockeye that are going to be fending their way up the Columbia River. And again, hot spots are going to be over by Rocky Reach Dam near Wenatchee, and don't forget Wells Dam towards Pateros and the Brewster Pool. All great places to get into some sockeye, and we're not even touching places like Lake Wenatchee. We'll save that for another time. Lance, thanks for telling us all about it on this week's Max Minute.
Thanks, John.
Looking for the ultimate cooking machine for your backyard or patio? Look no further than Camp Chef's new pellet grill and smoker. With user-friendly features like an auto ignition, digital readouts, and internal meat temperature sensors, it's easy to smoke the tastiest salmon, ribs, brisket, and turkey you'll ever eat. And an innovative system makes cleanup a snap. Everyone will want the food you're cooking on your Camp Chef pellet grill and smoker. The quality smoker that's second to none. Find out more at campchef.com. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
Hot summer nights mean hot morning fishing for sockeye here in the Northwest, and Max Lure Company has got what you need to catch a limit with the Double D Dodger and 2 great sockeye rigs. The Double D Dodger has a unique fast, slow action and can be fished away from the boat without a side planer. The Cha-Cha Sockeye Rig and Double Whammy Sockeye Pro both feature a patented smile blade and 2 stout red hooks that won't let go of that salmon when it bites. Max Lure Company, getting you into the sockeye this summer.
You demand quality performance from your binoculars, whether you use them in the field, on the water, or at a stadium. But you don't want to spend a fortune. That's where the BX Mackenzie binoculars from Leupold come in. These armored, waterproof binoculars are both comfortable and dependable. Look for your Mackenzie binoculars at quality sporting goods retailers near you, to include your Cabela's, Sportsman's Warehouse, or Northwest Bi-Mart stores. BX Mackenzie, bringing your world into sharper focus, only from Leupold.
Back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and we've been talking a lot about food this weekend, and so we thought we'd better bring a real expert on board. That would be Tiffany Haugen. Tiffany and her husband Scott have written a whole bunch of books that have to do with cooking seafood and wild game, and they've got a brand new one out through Amato Publications. It's Cooking Seafood. With us here to tell us more is Tiffany Haugen. Tiffany, welcome back to the show.
Hey, John. Nice to be here. Thanks.
Tiffany, you and Scott and the kids have been really busy lately. What have you been up to the last week or two?
Well, it's been a busy season. We, hit the sport shows as usual throughout the winter and spring, but the last couple of weeks we spent on the road, headed over to Missoula, Montana for a new Cabela's grand opening, and spent a couple of days in Yellowstone Park, which was a fun thing, first for the kids and Scott.
I love Yellowstone, and I love the wildlife. I've actually been on the road myself, and I understand, like me, you kind of got caught in the weather a little bit during your trip, didn't you?
That's it, yeah. You kind of think Yellowstone Park in the summer, sun and nice and warm. We got everything. We got sun, we got hail, we got rain, lots of rain, and even a little bit of snow up there. We were up about 8,500 feet, and yeah, we were doubling up on the sweatshirts for sure.
I understand completely, and that's just the way it is here in the Northwest. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this fabulous book. This is a beautiful book, Tiffany, that you have put together through Amato Publications. This is full color. It's 170 recipes. Kind of break it down for us, will you?
Well, yeah, Amato's has been great for us, and they have so many wonderful how-to books, but I've been pretty lucky to be in there on the cookbook side with them from the very first one I did, Cooking Salmon and Steelhead. And Cooking Seafood is a little bit of an extension of that first book with, of course, there's a little salmon, trout, and steelhead snuck in there, even a little bit of sturgeon, but also ocean fish, and then, of course, all the shellfish. And it really goes with our family. What we do is, hunting, fishing, gathering, wherever it is. If we find it, we cook it up and eat it. So this is a collection of recipes for someone who loves to get out and do clamming and crabbing and fishing, but also a book for someone who just has a nice local seafood market that they want to pick up stuff and let somebody else do the work for them. So lots of variety in this book. Try to use a lot of fresh ingredients. I don't like long lists for grocery shopping, so things are pretty simple and fresh, and try to get just many different flavors in there, something to please everyone.
Well, another thing I really like about this book is that you don't forget the basics. I mean, you've got campfire trout and whole smoked trout, but on the other end of the spectrum, you've got things like sturgeon fajitas. Never heard of such a thing. Creamy trout casserole. You've got your basic cedar plank salmon, but then you've got all sorts of just amazing seafood here. The sesame tuna looks delicious. And something else you've got to tell me about here is this seafood stuffed salmon. Tell me how to make that, because I really want to eat some of that.
Well, that seafood stuffed salmon is a favorite. And with fish, a lot of times you catch it right out of the river, right out of the ocean. You also want a little variety, too. And this one is particularly good if you've got some salmon in the freezer and you want to take that out. So, of course, frozen fish is never quite the texture of the fresh fish, but when you add all this yummy stuff to it, you get a really delightful meal there. And so I take my salmon fillet, and then I'll take a little bit of shrimp and some crab. You can even, whether it's smoked, fresh, canned, however, mix that with a little bit of either Greek yogurt or sour cream, a little mayo, some shredded cheese, and just cover that fillet of salmon. And you can plank cook it, you can grill it, you can bake it, you can put it in a Dutch oven. But what you've done is you've put this yummy, creamy seafood topping on top of that salmon. You get all kinds of great flavors. The fish stays very moist, and it's delicious. I'm hungry for it right now.
I was about to say, Tiffany, the problem I have every time I talk with you and I end a conversation, I'm just famished.
I know, we should definitely eat first, right?
It's like going shopping. Eat before you go shopping. I should eat before I talk to you.
That's it. But one of the things I really like about this, again, you can just, It's just dressing up your salmon. And this method, a lot of the methods in this book will cross over to other things. This is delicious with halibut or lingcod. You can even use this idea to stuff trout and just bring different flavors to all kinds of.
You know, Tiffany, earlier in the show we were talking to Ryan Neely with Camp Chef about this brand new pellet grill they have that's basically a smoker. Any recipes, because I know you're an ambassador for Camp Chef, that would work well with this pellet grill that are in this book?
Yeah, I've actually gotten to know my Camp Chef pellet grill quite well. I did some cooking segments for Scott Laseth's show, The Sporting Chef, that's on the Sportsman's Channel.
Oh, yes.
And I am just pleased with the results of this. You can use it as a smoker, so you can have it a nice low, 180 degrees if you want, and slow smoke things, or you can crank it up to 400 degrees and just get stuff cooking. But as you're cooking it, those pellets are going through and giving everything a really nice smoky flavor. So it just adds a great touch. And because you don't have that direct heat on the bottom, it keeps your fish very moist. We did like a venison backstrap that was just delicious. We did some great burgers and actually even got a little bit of grill marks on those, but they were smoky and juicy and really, really great. There's also an internal thermometer that's built right into the unit. So with fish, a lot of times people just tend to overcook it.
Oh, yes.
It gets dry very quickly. And a lot of people say, well, look at it and touch it and you'll know it's done. I say use a thermometer, make sure, take it off at 135, 140. You're going to have really nice moist fish. But with that pellet grill, having that built in is really, really nice. You don't really need to know how to cook to be able to cook on that.
Well, there you go. We're talking to Tiffany Haugen. She's the author, along with her husband, Scott, of Cooking Seafood, available through Amato Publications. Tiffany, let's go ahead and talk about shellfish. Do you have a quick shellfish recipe, whether it be oysters or clams, that you want to share?
Shellfish is so easy. I think, people can get a little intimidated, like, what do I do with this? But you don't have to hardly do a thing with it. I mean, whether or not you've just dug some clams or went and got some fresh oysters, you can just toss those on the grill. That when their shell opens up in a few minutes, they're ready to eat. And even with oysters, you don't need much heat to them at all because, of course, you can eat them raw if you want, but just basically kind of warming them up. And if I do it that way, just tossing them on the grill, I'll try to have a little, maybe like a lemon butter sauce with it, or like an orange and chili sauce, or just a nice little sauce that people can add to each one as they eat them. Or, again, just steaming them. If you're inside or on a camp stove, just put some flavor to them, a little bit of white wine, some garlic, lemon, maybe some butter in there. Get that boiling and just put them in there. 5-10 minutes, they open up, they're done. It's really a super quick meal.
Sounds delicious. And folks, you're also going to find a whole section that covers sauces, rubs, marinades, and more in this book. And unfortunately, we've got to go. So we better tell people where they can go ahead and buy Cooking Seafood, because, folks, once you buy it, you're going to be diving into these recipes and eating at a whole new level. Tiffany, please.
Well, easy to get. You can go to my website, which is just tiffanyhaugen.com, or my husband's website, scotthaugen.com, and we will send you out a copy, free shipping. We'll personally sign it for you and get that on its way so you can have lots of great ideas for summer cooking.
That's Cooking Seafood by Tiffany and Scout Haugen. You can go to tiffanyhaugen.com or scotthaugen.com. Either way, you're going to want to get this book, and you are going to use it a lot. Tiffany, thanks for telling us all about this on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Well, thanks, John, and happy summer.
Looking for the ultimate cooking machine for your backyard or patio? Look no further than Camp Chef's new pellet grill and smoker. With user-friendly features like an auto ignition, digital readouts, and internal meat temperature sensors, it's easy to smoke the tastiest salmon, ribs, brisket, and turkey you'll ever eat. And an innovative system makes cleanup a snap. Everyone will want the food you're cooking on your Camp Chef pellet grill and smoker. The quality smoker that's second to none. Find out more at campchef.com. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
From the Columbia River to Puget Sound, the Coastal Conservation Association in the Pacific Northwest works to conserve the fish we love and does so while protecting our heritage of sport fishing. To find out more, go to ccapnw.org. Again, that's ccapnw.org.
Looking for the ultimate salmon and halibut fishing experience at a great price? Then make plans to enjoy the real news for the Wild Northern Fish-In. Taking place August 23rd through the 26th. You'll be fishing the protected waters around British Columbia's Queen Charlotte Islands during the day and enjoying first-class food and accommodations at night. If you want an incredible saltwater fishing experience you'll never forget, the Wild Northern Fish-In is for you. Find out more at therealnews.com. That's the real, REEL news.com for the Wild Northern Fish-In.
You can fish from a boat, or you can stand on shore, or you can use a pontoon with carpet on the floor. You can sit upon a dock.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. It's time again for news and reports from the field, brought to you every week by Mardon Resort. And if you are a Saturday listener looking for something to do, head on over to Mardon Resort in eastern Washington at Potholes Reservoir with the kids today and bring your fishing poles, because the perch and crappie are biting off the docks right now. There's going to be a golf cart parade going on today in honor of the Independence Day celebration, and right after the sun sets over the reservoir, you'll be treated to a great fireworks show. It's all taking place Saturday. Find out more about the summer fun this 4th of July weekend and beyond at mardonresort.com. Another reminder for you to enter for a chance to win that pizza oven accessory from Camp Chef. It basically turns your 3-burner Camp Chef stove into a pizza oven. That's right. You have to have the 3-burner stove, but then you put on this pizza oven on top of it, and you will be cooking some absolutely delicious pizza. It retails for $171. We're giving it away to one lucky winner this weekend. Just go to our Facebook page, Northwestern Outdoors Radio, or contact us through our website, northwesternoutdoors.com. Let us know what station you're listening to and say you want the pizza oven, and you are entered. We'll pick a lucky winner at the end of this weekend. Summer hiking and camping is fun, but you need to be careful you don't end up having a close encounter with a bear. The folks at Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks have some tips to help you prevent that, and it all starts before you hit the trail by inquiring about recent bear activity in the area at your local ranger station. Once you are out there, carry and know how to use bear spray. You need to make sure it's accessible too. It doesn't do you any good if it's at the bottom of your backpack. Travel in groups of 3 or more during daylight hours and watch for signs of bear like scat, diggings, and torn up logs, because that could mean a bear's close by. Keep your kids close, talk, sing, carry a bell, or use other means to make your presence known so you don't go ahead and have a surprise encounter. And be especially cautious in areas where berry patches or other natural foods are around that attract bears. Oh, and if you see a bear, don't approach it. That's just plain dumb. Once you're at camp, make sure that you camp away from trails and other areas where you might see bear sign. Keep a clean camp and keep tents and sleeping bags free of odors. Avoid cooking smelly foods and hang all your food, trash, and other odorous items well away from the camp and at least 10 feet above the ground and 4 feet away from any vertical support, because these bears, they can climb. If you can't do that, store it in a bear-proof container. Livestock feed should be stored in the same way if you got horses with you. And don't sleep in the same clothes you wore while cooking or eating, because you just might smell like a yummy burrito in that sleeping bag to a bear if you do. In Washington State, Dave Graybill, the fishing magician, reports a huge run of sockeye salmon are finding their way up the Columbia River as we speak. Now, we told you a little bit about this during our extended Max Minute when Lance told you about that sockeye rig, but with 347,000 of these delicious salmon forecast to head up the upper Columbia and the Okanagan River, and over 28,000 of them a day passing over Bonneville Dam towards the end of the June. This is going to be epic. Better still, Dave says 65,000 of these salmon are likely bound for Lake Wenatchee, the largest return he has ever heard of for this lake. Wanapum Dam is a traditional place to target these fish as they head upstream, but a drawdown to fix a crack in the dam may make it difficult to fish this area, so you might want to call ahead and see if the traditional fishing spots are even accessible to you, because you might not be able to launch a boat anywhere close by. So, if that doesn't work out, consider fishing below Wells Dam near Pateros, above Rocky Reach Dam near Wenatchee, where there's even shore access, believe it or not, and in the Brewster Pool to get into a bunch of these tasty fish this year. Expect the Lake Wenatchee fishery to open up in late July. Dave will be tracking this fishery closely, and you can find out more at his website, fishingmagician.com. And you've probably had people crash a party you've thrown before, but I bet you haven't had a bear crash your party. According to the Outdoor Press Room, that's exactly what happened in Juneau, Alaska recently when a black bear fell through the skylight of a home into a room where the parents of a young child were preparing to throw a birthday party. After the bear recovered from its fall, it calmly wandered over to the table and helped itself to some lemon blueberry and peanut butter cupcakes. The story doesn't say, but I can't help but wonder if the bear brought a birthday present, besides, of course, a memory that's going to last a lifetime. Next on Northwestern Outdoors Radio, we're talking to Dan Sawyer. He's from Brookings, Oregon. He tunes in Sunday mornings from 6 to 7 a.m. on KGBR 92.7 The Bridge out of Gold Beach, and he's the man behind Wild Coast Kelp. You see, Dan is an expert on seaweed, and it turns out there are some 75 different species of seaweed along the southern Oregon coast, and a lot of it is edible. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John, for having me.
Dan, let's talk about just one type of seaweed today, that being kelp. Now, I'm from Washington State, and I've seen a lot of bull kelp in Puget Sound, and frankly thought that was the only type of kelp out there. But after watching a YouTube video you put together, well, I realize I'm very wrong about that. Tell me more about the different varieties of kelp found along the Oregon and Washington coast.
Well, there's several kinds of varieties along the coast. Basically, seaweed is in three different classes: brown, red, and green.
I like that. It's simple. I like that. Please keep going.
Yeah, and one of the most useful seaweeds out there, algae, is called wakame. And when you have miso soup, wakame is the green thing that is the vegetable there that is most sought after for that. It's a real tender, easy to cook, leafy. It's not very hard at all, and that's one of the most sought after for people even coming up from San Francisco and harvesting that here.
Let's talk a little bit more about eating kelp. Are there some varieties that taste better than others? In other words, if you're going to go look for kelp for the table, which ones do you want to look for and which ones do you maybe want to stay away from?
To stay away from here on the Oregon coast, there are three kinds of seaweed that I can harvest that I don't. It's called acid kelp, and it will turn any other seaweed you put with it bleach blonde.
Oh, geez.
And you can actually feel the sulfuric acid on your hand if you do have a cut. Those are the wrong ones to harvest.
Oh, yes.
The other ones, there's a lot of seaweeds that are edible. There's the iridescent, which is very easy to distinguish from all the rest of them. It's a multicolor, rainbow color. There are other ones that are brown seaweeds that are more desirable and more beneficial for you. The bladder rack is a good one to harvest. And also, there's one that now requires a permit in Oregon, and it's illegal to pick in California because it's so sought after. It's called sea palm.
Okay.
And it has a nutty flavor. You just steam it like broccoli, and it's marvelous.
Wasn't there one that I saw on your YouTube video that had almost a sugary taste to it?
Yes, it's called sugar rack, and it actually has quite a bit of sugar in it that you can make alcohol with.
Wow. Okay, I never thought we were going to go there on this show, but so basically now we're talking moonshining kelp, right? Okay, well, this is great stuff. So let's say people want to go to the coast and they want to go ahead and get some kelp, and they're listening to this and they do their homework and they figure out which types to get. How does one prepare kelp for the table? Now, you mentioned the one variety you steam like broccoli, but what about other ones? What would you recommend?
There's a couple of different kinds there, and the way to prepare these seaweeds is basically washing them with fresh water because you want to get the bugs off of them and sand and shells. Some people like to wash it with salt water, and I don't do that because of the fact I like the bugs to leave.
Great tip. I like them to leave too. I don't want them on what I'm going to eat.
Oh, absolutely.
we are running short on time, and I'd love to hear more, but we better steer people towards a website where they can find out about wild coast kelp and maybe getting into harvesting seaweed and kelp, which I also understand is very healthy for you.
It's extremely healthy. The brown seaweeds have 93 nutrients, and they say that the egg is the perfect food because it has 16 amino acids, and the brown seaweed, most of them have 22 amino acids.
The things you learn. Again, folks, if you want to find out more, go to Dan's website. It's wildcoastkelp.com. That's wildcoastkelp.com. And you can find out more about harvesting seaweed, adding it to your diet, and just kind of changing things up a little bit. Dan, thanks for telling us all about this on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thanks, John, for having me.
Bass Lake, Otter Lake, Goose Lake, Gull Lake, Round Lake, Bear Lake, Rice Lake, Sugar Lake, Mud Lake, Long Lake, Ant Lake, Swan Lake, and Lake of the Woods. Oh, I fish everywhere.
The road is calling you to experience one of Oregon's 7 wonders, the Wallowas. So grab your family and spend some time exploring Northeast Oregon's Wallowa County. Visit the state park at the head of glacier-carved Wallowa Lake. Travel the Hells Canyon Scenic Byway. Feel the pioneer spirit, Nez Perce history, and see our Western arts and bronzes. Ascend to the top of Mount Howard on the tram and you'll see why Wallowa County is one of Oregon's most scenic and adventurous vacation wonders. This summer, take the road that leads to wonders. It begins at WallowaCountyChamber.com.
Hot summer nights mean hot morning fishing for sockeye here in the Northwest, and Max Lure Company has got what you need to catch a limit with the Double D Dodger and 2 great sockeye rigs. The Double D Dodger has a unique fast, slow action and can be fished away from the boat without a side planer. The Cha-Cha Sockeye Rig and Double Whammy Sockeye Pro both feature a patented smile blade and 2 stout red hooks that won't let go of that salmon when it bites. Max Lure Company, getting you into the sockeye this summer.
Good hunters know before you take that shot, you've got to see the whole picture. Now, the best way to do that is with a spotting scope, binoculars, or a rifle scope, but it's got to be from Leupold. Now, Leupold is a Northwest company with a reputation that stretches across the world for making superior optics. The kind of optics that allow you to see what you need before making that stock or pulling that trigger. Look for Leupold Optics at your local Cabela store, Dick's Sporting Goods, or online at leupold.com. Leupold, America's optical authority.
Pheasants Forever is working hard every day to ensure there's more wildlife habitat for the future. To join us, go to pheasantsforever.org.
We're back with one last cast from John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Let's run through some upcoming events before we go. If you like bird watching, we've got a unique opportunity for you to take a cruise and watch researchers band baby osprey in nests on Lake Coeur d'Alene in northern Idaho on July 12th. You'll board the boat at 8:30 from the Coeur d'Alene Resort Boardwalk. From there, you'll head out onto the water where you'll get to see both adult and young osprey up close from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's a unique opportunity that ought to be a lot of. The cost? $15 per adult and a maximum of $35 for a family. Space is very limited, so call the Coeur d'Alene Chamber of Commerce or contact them online for a reservation at cdachamber.com. That's cdachamber.com, and do it fast. Livingston, Montana is the place to be with a river raft, canoe, or kayak on July 11th if you want to take part in the 51st annual Yellowstone Boat Float. This is an informal 3-day float down the Yellowstone River that retraces the route of William Clark of the Lewis and Clark expedition. You'll be floating and camping for 3 days, and in addition to paddling, there's going to be food, drink, music, and even dancing along the way. Find out more about what ought to be a really fun 3-day floating and camping experience on Facebook at Yellowstone Boat Float. Last but not least, wildfire season is kicking off early here in the Northwest, and it's starting very close to home. Case in point, the Hay Canyon fire that torched 300 acres about a mile and a half away from my home in central Washington last week. Target shooters called in the fire to 911, and reportedly, they were to blame. Fortunately, helicopters and fire crews hit the fire hard and got it contained within a couple of days, but not before it burned up the trees, foliage, and bluebird nesting habitat along one of my favorite spring hiking trails. It being Independence Day weekend, and with fireworks going off all over the place, I can't help but say, let's be careful out there, folks. And remember, if you're on public lands like National Forest lands, state park lands, fish and wildlife lands, or national parks, fireworks are verboten. You can't use them out there because the danger of wildfire is just too great. All right, we have got to go, but if you haven't done so yet, make sure you go to our Facebook page at Northwestern Outdoors Radio or contact us through our website at northwesternoutdoors.com and ask to win that pizza oven accessory we are giving away from Camp Chef. That's right. You need to have a 3-burner camp stove from Camp Chef, but if you do, you put on this $171 pizza oven accessory on top, and voila, you are cooking pizza that's every bit as good as you're going to get in any restaurant. All you have to do is tell us what station you're listening to and that you want the pizza oven from Camp Chef, and you're entered to win. We'll pick a lucky winner at the end of this weekend. And again, just go to our Facebook page, Northwestern Outdoors Radio, like us, follow us, and go ahead and do that for the Camp Chef page too, by the way. And you can also contact us through our website at northwesternoutdoors.com. Until next time, take care, God bless, enjoy your Independence Day weekend, thank a veteran for helping to keep our country free, and oh yeah, make it a point to spend some time outdoors.